on the list is North Walker, which includes starting where the road begins at North Walker, going down various addresses, including 477. It's about 600 feet to extend the road. And right now it's county maintenance ends is at the end of 477. And it would be very helpful to have that road to finish out. Thank you.
Okay, you want to get a petition to, yeah, Kristen, I can't even think this morning. Sorry about that, Kristen. All right. Thank you. We do have a presentation this morning from William Whitsitt, Long-Term Recovery on the Coronavirus Relief Fund and COVID-19 CARES Act update. Mr. Whitsitt. There.
Good morning. It's my honor to address the commission this morning and appreciate the support this body has given to long-term recovery. We started out working on Harvey and now we're on other duties as assigned. So if I could get that presentation up, Colin. I do have one additional note at the end of my presentation on another pot of money we're working on, so bear with me. There we go. All right. Thank you. As the judge indicated, I'm here to give update on the CARES Act, which was passed by Congress. Try to go to the next slide, Colin. Is the button working here? There we go. There. As you know, in March, the governor acted from the state of Texas to declare an emergency on public health for the COVID-19 pandemic. On March 16th, just a few days later, the judge and the county and this body, along with all the other local governments in your area, joined in initial declarations of emergency to do the lockdown and prevent the unnecessary spread of the disease. In late March, early April, Congress passed and the president signed the Coronavirus Relief and Economic Securities Act, which you'll hear me continue to refer to as the CARES Act because that's a mouthful. And what I want to update you on is what we've been doing locally to implement that law. Just a quick update. These figures were as of around the end of August. But this morning, I think we're somewhere around 301, 302 in terms of active cases. And we have only 18 fatalities. That's holding, which is good, and over 283 recoveries. So as you can see, it's kind of ramped up over time. But so far so good. And for you being a tourism community, I'd like to commend you all in your efforts. That's excellent compared to some of the areas that I've seen reports on. Now, as far as the CARES Act is concerned locally, there was $611,000 allocated by the state of Texas. The money flowed from Washington through Austin down here to Aransas County, and your allocation by some magic formula was $611,000. And there was a 20% advance on that money, according to Miss Jackie, who keeps the books on all of this. So that was where we sat at sometime in April. Since then, we have taken a look at the requirements, and please bear in mind that this act is totally based on reimbursement. You don't spend it, you don't get it. So, the $611,000 sounds great, but you got to spend it first and account for it, and it has to be done in an exact manner. Up to 25% of it, or around $152,000 and some change, could be spent on humanitarian relief efforts, and I'll go into the details of what we've done there. Up to 75% of it, or a little over $458,000, can be spent on your emergency response and the things that you need to do as a county to thwart the pandemic. We took, some actions early on, and this body passed in June, and I thank you for your support, allocating $142,500 to 4 local nonprofit agencies. Those groups were locally Hands of Hope, Good Samaritans, St. Vincent de Paul's, and the Children's Coalition. And we also took a small amount of that allocation and applied in a statewide competition to the One Star Foundation. We didn't get the grant because they said they had $1 million to give away, and they had $31 million in applications. So let's just say we didn't get funded. Darn it. But what we had planned to do was take the $10,000 we held back, match it with $10,000, and then help small businesses here locally, but that didn't work out. So we still have that tucked back away for other uses. Since seeing the continual guidance that comes out of Austin and Washington, they continue to write regulations and clarify things and answer questions. Our recommendation to you this morning is that we carefully evaluate where we're spending this funding and take measures to make sure we comply with all of the guidance that we've been getting, and I'll go into that in just a second. So locally, what have we done? The early reports, and this is still kind of a moving target, an ongoing process. The $142,000 that was initially distributed at the end of August, around towards the 25th, the last week of August, we had spent about a little over $69,000 that the not-for-profits had, and they had helped 96 families with children 18 and under, 104, helping them out, buying things like school clothes, food, paying rent that was due, back due utilities, excuse me. And we even had a couple come forward that said they had no money for their funeral because they had passed away of COVID. So I think that you can see from this report that we've done well in terms of meeting local needs within the resources we had. Please understand that no matter any amount that we would have gotten, if we'd have gotten twice this, the demand would have been far higher. So the idea is you take what you have and you do the best you can to distribute it as fair as you can. And I have to commend the local nonprofits for stepping up and being willing to step into this space, because it's always full of criticism versus praise. And I'm here to give praise because that's not an easy position to be in. Day in and day out, they deal with these matters, and the pandemic has made it even more challenging and tough to do. So back to the other portions of the funding, like I said, we provided the local nonprofits with funding. Some of those local nonprofits didn't spend all the money yet, so we're stepping in and we're swooping up the accounts and making sure that everything is reallocated. We plan to do that in the next couple of weeks and turn the faucet back on again. And our mission is to have these funds expended appropriately by the beginning of December. So that's the mission that we have right now, and I think we're well on our way to doing what we can with what we have. Now, as far as the rest of the funding is concerned, we have done as a county testing. We've bought protective gears and supplies, some sanitizers, disinfectants, some Zoom licenses and computers and things like that. And then we even note that if there's an increase in your workers' comp rates or your unemployment insurance or things like that that are related to COVID, then you can cover those kinds of expenses as well. So we have a little ways to go. We'll be back with another report close to the end of the period where everything has to be turned in, but so far so good. And I think that the county's made good progress with resources that you've been provided, recognizing going in that they weren't going to be enough.
William,
Yes, sir.
when you say we, who are you working with at the county in order to come up?
Got my next slide up here.
And can I ask a question?
Yes.
What did we do about testing? I didn't think the county had done testing. Were we supporting other people's testing, or do we actually do?
Well, there was 2 testing operations in from the state, and then Jackie, I
We
think.
did
supported
for
the state?
the jail, for the jail, they did for the detention center and also for employees that wanted it. We did. some
Yeah,
testing.
there was 2 rounds of testing, and then in addition to that money, we leveraged, of course, we asked the state to come in and do some testing, and they had a couple of operations in at no cost to us.
William, you said there are 308 active cases,
Yes, 302.
302?
Yeah.
Okay, well, as of September the 11th, we had 200, I realize the dates are different. We had 298 historical. We had 280 recovered. That left 18 that were active. And it didn't account for 18 that were dead. So something's wrong there.
Something's drastically wrong with DSHS,
Yes.
Commissioner. I don't think we can fix it this year or next year either.
Yeah, I don't think those numbers will ever 100% come together because you have, you threw together a reporting
Yeah,
system.
The point is, we may have had at one time 308 active cases, but not at the same time.
No, we've never
No,
had 308.
this has been since March.
We've got 18 active according to the information that we have.
I mean, it's low compared to, the period of time you're looking at here, but it is a cumulative total.
And the total percentage based on the population is real low.
Low. So far, so good.
Even
I mean,
with 50,000
All right.
that we get in over the weekend.
Yeah, and
Okay,
absolutely correct. And so I think you're doing well, but now's not the time to take your foot off the gas. I was yelling at the Saints yesterday because they were taking their foot off the gas. So can't do that.
This right here, we don't have anybody from our assistance department involved in this.
Your what department?
Well, Alma, you want to speak to the assistance budget that we have?
Oh, you're talking about the
Indigent health.
indigent healthcare.
Indigent care, but we do it.
Well, I had asked Jackie if part of that could go for the assistance that was first, but he didn't.
Yeah, I mean, there was so little money,
It's being-
it was, you want to do it yourself or do you want to try to get, leverage the money and utilize other organizations? And the choice was made to utilize the other organizations and avoid that conversation and demand. I mean, your staff's already busy enough without adding extra
all-
layers to it.
Commissioner, it also requires that it's not something you already had budgeted. It has to be something that was unbudgeted.
Yeah.
So since we have assistance budgeted, if we went over that, then we could use some of that, but
Well, we got a list of probably the most needy people in the county. And I'm not suggesting that we overpay those folks. I'm simply says, if in fact there's people out there that we don't handle through our normal assistance budget, this would be in addition to, and they certainly have the names of those folks. I'm just
and
asking
it's a
question.
possibility. It's, at this time, there's so much extra paperwork and so much extra vetting that goes towards this that nonprofits were already doing for their systems, that's where we felt like
Yeah.
they would reach the most.
Our main concern was to avoid that tripwire that the feds had of supplanting funds. And man, I just don't want to face any auditors and having to deal with those questions. So this was a cleaner way of doing it quickly.
Can I just speak as the representative
Yep.
of Children's Coalition of Aransas County? We've gotten lots of referrals from the county offices. So if a family comes into the county says, you know what, I think this would be a COVID-19 relief case, they will refer those folks to one of the nonprofits who's administrating the funds. So there is communication.
It is being coordinated.
Yeah, we have a lot of links and connections on the staff, and like I say, everybody's been working together. Anything we've done in long-term recovery has been kind of a collaborative effort, and I gotta thank Rick and Jackie and Tish, and the list is up there. Judge McGinnis brought some of these needs to us early on, and that she's aware of through her situation. So again, it's been kind of a collaborative effort. Like I said, this law was only passed at the end of March. Somewhere in the beginning of April, we started hearing about it, and we put together an effort to respond as quickly as we could. Now, if I could, I want to go to one other item. If you recall, when I was here in July, we talked about the 4 buckets of funds that have flowed down in the disaster through Harvey. We're on the last bucket, which is the hazard mitigation money that's being implemented from GLO. That money is 100% money. However, because it is competitive, they have set up this little thing saying if you kick in 1%, you get more points, and therefore you may beat someone else out and get the grant versus if you don't put in a match. So our team has been working on that, and we will be back to you very soon with a whole list of projects. A lot of those are road and drainage type projects, which we've been working with David on. Some shoreline resiliency projects that we've been working on, and one very exciting project, which I got to tip my hat to that guy over there, Mr. Collin. He is do y'all know how amazing this guy is? He has helped me put together a collaborative effort among 6 counties. It's actually gotten so large, we're probably going to break the project in half because it's going to exceed the thresholds for when you have to do benefit cost analysis, which is a very, very elaborative process where you have to physically show that the benefits you're paying out for every dollar in federal subsistence, you're getting $1 or more back into the federal coffers or your own. And so it's a very complex project. So we're going to avoid that conversation because of time. The deadline is coming up for submitting applications in October. We'll be back to you with a project list, and the most important project of all of them is the fiber optic loop. And I don't have time to go into that in detail right now. Just know that we are going to be proposing a northern connection fiber optic loop between here and Victoria to get us to their point of presence up there. And it's probably going to be on the order of about $25 million project. And 1% of that is $250,000. And that's the bad news. The good news is it's going to be prorated based on mileage and other factors of how you light up the fiber. And you have other partners, be Refugio County and Victoria County. And thank you, Judge, for connecting us to those folks up there. And we'll be back with the details on that project as well as some of these other projects. We'll need your support in submitting those applications, and we'll need your support in passing a communications plan to have public comment on those projects. So, and I see Sheriff Mills, he's sitting over there. He's talked to me about that too. That's a pretty exciting project, I think, that will help our public safety and a lot of other issues. You do not ever want to go through another disaster like you did flying blind. You had absolutely zero communications. It's a wonder somebody didn't get hurt or killed. And so we're proposing a hazard mitigation project that will help you mitigate that in the future. And we're continuing to work. So I know that we don't always come up here and, share every detail of what we're doing, but every day we're working on this stuff, and we do want to keep everybody informed as best we can. So with that, any last questions before I leave?
No, thank you.
Thank you all.
William, and your team for everything. Appreciate it. All right, under the consent agenda, we have 2 items. Oh, just one item.
Make a motion to
Just a
approve.
minute.
Motion made. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove Friends of History Center for Aransas County. Ms. Stranahan. Morning.
Morning, everybody. We wouldn't miss a chance to report in quarterly as we try to do. From the History Center, we're continuing to try to keep people interested in our local history despite the COVID situation. We're open 4 days a week with very limited viewing, and we're really putting our emphasis into distance communication. So all of our every other week programs are on Zoom. We had one yesterday with quite a few people tuned in. And then the program is recorded and put up on our website. So a lot of people have told me that they're not tuning in on Sunday afternoons because they know they can catch it on the website. So we've been able to do that. We also got funding from Humanities Texas to spend more money for our administrative assistant to do more digital work. And so what we've done is set up a Facebook routine where on Wednesdays we have an artifact from the collection showing. On Thursdays, we have a book on Texas history reviewed. And on Fridays, we have a short 3 to 4 minute video on a historical marker. So these are regular programs that are coming up every week on our Facebook. And we're beginning to get a lot of attention to that. You see, Google gave us some numbers. And in one instance, it says that our website visitors increased 173%. I don't know how you work numbers like that, but anyway, there you are. We got a little bit of money from Coastal Bend's Communities Foundation for our exhibit that will open with the sesquicentennial. You'll hear more about it, the sesquicentennial, next month as we begin to look at things. We put together a Connie Hager Corner for people who might be coming in for the Hummingbird celebration because we usually get quite a bit of traffic during that time. And we also have relabeled many of our plants in the garden, which is what a lot of the people for the Hummingbird Festival really, really enjoy. We really appreciate the county support. We don't get hot funding from the county, but we have a lot of support from the county through our Aransas Pathways and our program manager, John Strothman. So thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you for everything that you do for the county.
You bet.
Judge, I make a motion to approve the report.
Motion made. Second, Commissioner Castelline. All those in favor?
Aye.
Accept, approve, and approve Election Administrator Michelle Carew's resignation effective September 18th, 2020. As you know, she has a job in another county, and it's taken some time, so she needs to go ahead and work full-time there and possibly work with us as a consultant of some kind.
Right.
Is that the right word? All right. Michelle, you'd like to say something?
Well, I do want to thank you guys again for letting me serve everyone here in Aransas County. It's been my honor to work for you guys, and I already miss you all. So thank you very much.
I don't think,
Thank you.
Yes.
oh, is it? It just didn't look like it.
Thank you, and thanks for all you've done for the county. We appreciate it.
Make a motion to go ahead and accept the resignation.
Motion made.
Before we vote on that, I mean,
And
go
a
ahead.
second. Do I have a second?
I do.
Second. Yes, ma'am.
So I have been trying to understand for a while what we're doing exactly. I think we've already posted the open position for the elections administrator in expectation of the resignation taking hold. It sounds like we're also going to need to have a consulting agreement going forward. So we need to understand the financial terms of that. And then we're talking about an elections coordinator as well. And I've not been able to figure out yet whether that's in addition for having a new full-time elections coordinator.
Well, we're going to
So
discuss
where
that
are
in the
we?
next topic. I mean, on the next line item.
Right. And
But, I
before
mean,
we
I-
vote for this one, don't we need to see it in context?
Okay, first of all, I remember what your first question was there. She will be coming on as a part-time after this. The elections administrator position has been posted. The election committee is the one that will make the determination as to who they hire for that. They just had their meeting on Friday afternoon and have appointed Kevin to be the interim in the meantime until they make a selection.
Hold on. So that's Kevin Stroud, the current
Yes.
consultant on a contract basis, elections.
No.
Coordinator.
He was never
He
a
was never a
consultant. He was a
contractor.
temporary part-time employee. I'm
Okay.
sorry, a temporary full-time employee.
Temporary for full-time employee paid by a grant of some kind.
Right,
And that's Kevin Stroud. He was the elections coordinator.
correct.
We're talking about bringing him on as a permanent full-time.
He
No,
has been
interim.
moved to an interim.
He has
by
now
the
been moved to an
committee.
interim,
Yes, as
full-time
election administrator. He was already full-time.
election administrator.
Yes,
Right.
he's an interim election administrator
What-
until the committee makes a decision as to who they're going to hire for the actual full-time permanent elections administrator.
What- I think
What
part of
has
the
happened
confusion
to the
came-
elections coordinator position?
He will fill that with someone else.
Okay,
think
so it's
we're-
currently empty.
Right. I think part of the confusion is you always thought my position was elections coordinator because you would refer to me as that.
That, I may have
Too many
misstated
times.
that every now, but I did fully understand. I assure
Okay.
you in my own mind that there was an elections administrator position. I had only recently learned that there was also an elections coordinator position. We're talking about making changes in status of both, and I'm just trying to sort out how that works.
Right.
So the current status is going to be, you're resigning, you'll go to part-time in some way.
Correct.
The former elections coordinator has become an interim elections administrator.
Correct,
Right.
We have posted a permanent position for elections administrator.
correct.
We have not yet, I think, posted a position for elections coordinator. Are we expecting that that'll be a permanent full-time position going forward as well?
No,
No.
it's only going to fill the temporary position that's already in place at this point.
So when the elections
And that
administrator
will be
is
up to-
refilled, does the elections coordinator position go away?
At this point, yes, unless the court makes a different decision.
Okay, so we're not
At
currently
later.
planning to have two full-time elections positions, one coordinator, one administrator.
There's currently in the office, there's an elections administrator.
Yeah,
There's the assistant elections administrator, who's Julie Gifford.
uh-huh.
And then we have the elections coordinator.
Which
was
is sort
a
of
temporary
temporary.
full-time position that Kevin held, right?
Right.
So now that I'm resigning, Kevin's going to move over to elections administrator
Got it.
interimly, and it leaves open the temporary position of elections coordinator.
And going forward, it is our expectation that that the coordinator position will go away sometime, after the election? And we'll go forward
currently
with an
paid for.
administrator and an assistant administrator. Is that right?
The position is currently budgeted and approved
Which-
through the end of November.
The coordinator
The
position.
coordinator, yes. the
And we do not
temporary
expect
full-time.
to go forward with it after that?
I don't know what's going to happen.
Because on the agenda has been, the reason I'm confused about this is that the agenda has now for several weeks had an item on it called convert election coordinator to a permanent full-time position.
Right, and that's the next item number that we're going to talk about when we get to that item number, because we're still on item number 4.
But before we vote on this one, I need answers on that one. So could you just tell me what's going on with the elections coordinator
It's really
position?
two different
Well, it's really hard for me to go into that if it's not
I
on that
don't-
topic.
I don't
mean, it has
know.
to get to that item before we can
Can-
really discuss it.
Why?
Can we defer the vote on this one until we've talked about the other two, please?
No, I don't think so. This,
There needs to be a way for me to hear the
There's-
context.
Something so she can't leave if we don't accept her retirement.
And if you do, can you buy me a house while you're at it?
We
just-
could have done this 2 weeks
item
ago
is-
and we thought we
is
couldn't
just
because we needed to
accept
settle all
the
this other stuff.
resignation.
This is-
That's
I'll
all.
call a motion.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against?
I did not, all right, I guess I'm against because I don't know what we're doing yet.
Okay,
So you abstain?
That's a no.
So you're gone.
You abstain or you would?
I'm voting no. I don't like to vote yes for things when I can't get a context.
Okay, 4 for, and 1 against. Item number 5, discuss, approve, disapprove, changing the current temporary election coordinator position to permanent full-time employee status effective December 1st, 2020. Same step and grade. This also was discussed and decided that we should table this for action at another time. I mean, why?
Well, we're
why
asking
do
that it be
this now
tabled
when we can?
because it's paid for with the CARES Act money. And if we go ahead and move forward with creating this position effective December 1, the CARES Act may not finish paying it out through November
Right.
30th.
Because it's
So
a budget
it's
item.
too soon.
And because we're not ready to hire a full-time elections coordinator, as far as I can tell.
Right.
So we're not doing that today.
I'm not doing that
I'll
today.
second that.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
We're just
Aye.
moving to table? Is that what
Yes.
we're voting
Yeah.
on?
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Discuss, approve, disapprove authorizing negotiation for acquisition of property and/or easement in the Copenhagen Heights watershed consistent with the county's regional stormwater management master plan. Mr. Reed, do you have anything to say? What? Oh, we need to go to closed session. All right.
I had signed up to speak. on
Yes,
item
ma'am,
number
but-
5. Since it's been tabled, I will pull my request to speak and hold it until it gets back on the agenda. I just wanted you to know I was signed up for a couple of things.
You're right there and okay. Item number 7, discuss, approve, disapprove county judge to pay a match fund. Wait a minute, for me to pay it. County judge to pay match funds to the Texas Department of Transportation
I'll vote for that.
Yeah. That's unanimous.
for Aransas Pathways Southern Trails Project. Previously approved match fund amount is $162,150. And funds come from the Pathway Bond Funds, which were done some time ago. Is that right?
Yeah, this is an old project that's moving along. And this is just the next step in it right here to go ahead. Make a motion to go ahead and approve.
Motion made.
I'll second that.
Second, Commissioner Cheney. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Approve, disapprove, authorizing county judge to sign the Texas Department of Transportation grant for routine airport maintenance program for the fiscal year 2021, through which the Aransas County Airport will receive 50% reimbursement for up to $100,000 spent on eligible airport maintenance, and designate Mike Gear as authorized designated representative.
Move to approve.
Motion
Second.
made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove, authorizing county judge to sign a cooperative service agreement with the Aransas County Medical Services 501c3 nonprofit corporation for paving services of Enterprise Medical Complex.
Move to approve.
Motion made, and
Second.
seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove, authorize county judge to sign an interlocal cooperation agreement for 2021 and 2020 and 2021 property tax assessment collection on return of signed agreement from local taxing entities. This is something we have to do every year.
Move to approve.
Are we just, this is just the same agreement we've always had, no changes this
Right.
year?
Motion made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove Resolution R 37/2020, a resolution of Aransas County, Texas, certifying that the county has made a grant to the Aransas County Council of Aging, an organization that provides home-delivered meals to homebound persons in the county who are elderly and or disabilities, and certifying that the county has approved the organization's a county system for fiscal aging.
What's the amount of this one?
$45,000. It is in the budget.
Thanks.
I'm on that committee and I want to tell you, for the amount of money that they get from us, they do a tremendous amount of work. Even during Hurricane Harvey, The staff and everybody else was up there cooking. And they have not missed a single meal available since Harvey came. I think after like the second day, they were doing it, and they've done a really good job. And this is it's really a godsend for them.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion made.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove, authorizing county judge to sign an enrollment form for the Texas Association of Counties and their cybersecurity training course. This annual training is mandatory for all elected officials and employees who have access to county computers and applications under the Texas Government Code.
So moved.
Motion made.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
What is the fee on?
You know,
You
What?
know what the fee is?
The fee?
No, there's no
There's
fee.
no fee.
No fee.
We didn't pay anything.
Discuss, approve, disapprove order 018-2020 authorizing the update of Bickerstaff, Heath, DeGaldo, and Acosta LLP Board Council Engagement Agreement. Jackie? And I believe Mr. Mendez is on Zoom. Is that right?
Yes,
He
sir, Judge.
was going to be. His
Yeah, I'm
plans-
here, Judge.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Anybody have any questions?
Judge, I'd make a motion to approve.
Could we, I think the public doesn't know anything about the terms of this. Could somebody just please summarize it quickly?
Sure.
I understand it's a contingency agreement.
Yeah, I can explain that, Judge, if you'd like.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
The legislature in 2019 added a new provision that kind of rounded up all the lawyers that had contingent arrangements. They were concerned about those lawyers that were doing, those plaintiffs' lawyers that were doing the opioid cases. I don't know if you remember that back. It seems like a lifetime ago, but when the opioid cases were the big deal going on with local governments. And the legislature didn't want the counties to go off and hire lawyers like they did in the back in the tobacco litigation. So they passed legislation that said if the counties were going to do contingent fee arrangements, that they'd be covered, that they had to have these special rules and notice. Well, bond lawyers do their work. We do our work for you guys on the same basis. We don't charge you a fee unless you actually sell bonds. And the reason is that that's historical. The vagaries of the interest rate market and the money market being what it is, sometimes you start a project and then the interest rates go up and it's not practical for the county to proceed. Or you're going to issue bonds on COs, for example, and you get a petition. And so it's not practical to be paying by the hour on a project like that until the money's delivered. And then usually that's those costs are part of the closing costs on the transaction. So when the bonds are issued, that's when you pay for it. So all this update does is give notice that we've represented you guys since 2007 on bond transactions, but that the county has a substantial need for bond counsel. You can't get it through in-house through the county attorney because they don't have the appropriate credentials to sell bonds on the national market or to give the opinions that the investors need. These are not typically services that are available from people in private practice. There's just a few of us that do this. The county does not have funds to pay by the hour for somebody to figure this out when the interest rates are shifting. So you'd rather just pay for it when and if money actually is delivered to the county. And that we've duly posted a notice. We posted a notice with the agenda that we were doing a contingent fee arrangement with bond counsel. The fees are basically what they've been for the last 20, 30 years, about $11,000 for a new money issue for the first $1 million of bonds and $1 a bond after that. So, and for refundings, it's 12 because it's a little more complicated, 12 for the first million and then $1 a bond over that. So for the transaction we're looking at later in the agenda, my fee's approximately $15,000 when and if you ever refund that. And so that's later down on the agenda. But that's the reason for this order, and I'd be glad to answer any further questions.
Thanks. You'll be talking to us later about the refi as well?
Yes,
I hope-
the banker's here and he's going to explain it, and then I'll lay out the order because that's done on a parameter basis, and I'll talk about that when we get to that item.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we had a motion in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Uh,
Did I make the motion?
yeah.
Well, I expect a second.
Cast your line. Discuss, approve, disapprove August 2020 indigent healthcare report end of the year. That's right.
So August ends the fiscal year for the indigent healthcare program with the state. We spent $31,311 for the month. Total for the fiscal year is $496,237. That puts us at 4.68% of our gross revenue tax levy. No, a little over a half of what we had mandated to spend.
Motion to approve the report, Judge.
Motion made.
Second.
Commissioner Castleline, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove adopting elected officials' salaries, expenses, and other allowances for 2021.
These salaries are the ones that were proposed in the budget. They are also have been published. So just recommend that y'all.
Right.
So I had thought, and I've been telling people, and I'm afraid I've been saying it wrong, that we were not to get a raise because we weren't going to get a COLA. But as I understand it from what we got today, we are getting small longevity raises, but just not a inflation
Well,
based
the
raise.
longevity is annually. So
Right.
yes, you will be getting, unless you chose not to get the extra longevity.
That, that form that you handed out a month or so ago, that included, I know I said no to something. Was that the longevity? That would have been.
Longevity and the COLA.
Okay.
And the reason for the increase on this is between
Okay.
And I had one question on precinct 1, precinct 2 versus precinct 3 and precinct 4. 3 and 4 seem to have a larger base salary than 1 and 2. And I thought that was always the same. Is that not correct?
Yes, sir, they have always been the same. The only reason for the increase is why you're seeing a different number.
But the 27 pay periods applies to all precincts. So that's not what you're asking about? Jack?
No, in mine particular one, it's 25,973. But in yours, for an example, it's 26,623.
They're paying me more than you?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
There you, why would that
Why-
get back?
There are two precincts that are paid more than the other.
Why are
Why
some
is that?
precincts paid others more than others?
I think a few years ago, the 2 commissioners didn't take their raise. I'm not sure.
Oh, if one precinct doesn't take a raise, that sort of carries through permanently into the future?
Oh, okay.
Jack,
Yes, sir. Okay, well, that's fine. Thank you.
Make a motion, adopt.
motion made.
I'll second it.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove of Aransas County Navigation District, no new tax revenue rate levy of 0.04976, $100 valuation, and 0.003648.7, $100 valuation for M&O, and 0.013289 at $100 valuation for INS. Thank you.
Who do we,
Do we have a motion?
I'll
Motion
second.
made.
Second.
Second.
who do we address our questions to on the budget that you turned in?
Chairman's here, our attorney's here. I can address any of your general questions. You need specific questions, our attorney's here.
I noticed that the total revenue that was budgeted for 2021, 3,552,000. And that includes 1,331,000 in maintenance taxes, 189,000 in INS taxes. which means that your net revenues from the properties that are 1,731,000 approximately. So you're with me on that. Your expenses, gross expenses of 3,426,000 includes the INS in it. But if you take that out, then your expenses are still 2,936,426. So in looking at this, we have a deficit between the net revenue and the expenses of maintaining the district, 1,204,000. Is that correct? The reason I'm going through this is because of the fact that the water code says that we may issue or pass a maintenance tax. I'm determining the needs. That's all.
Yes, the water code spells out what an M&O tax can be used for.
No, I'm not.
I'm answering that because your question. We would see, if you look at the budget, that the reality is the M&O tax covers our operation costs. Water code also spells out that we have other avenues for revenue, and we have discretion on how to use those other avenues. The reality of the issue is the district has chosen to keep its M&O tax at a low rate, understanding that it does not cover to any degree our maintenance requirements. The reason we've done that is because why burden the taxpayers of Aransas County with a higher tax when we have the ability to cover the maintenance through our own new revenue sources, whether it be passes through the beach or whatever, leases. So the reality of the issue here is that our M&O tax covers our operation, but we cover our additional maintenance costs through the other fees which we are allowed to collect under the water code. So that the idea that somehow M&O tax is being used for other purposes is shown right here that is not the case. Now, I know that this is not the first time this question has been asked, but I see it right here in black and white. The district is not allowed to have two different funds. We have to coalesce everything into one fund. So what I'm here to tell you this morning is that when you, as you always have, authorize the ad valorem tax at this no new tax rate, that the district is going to use those funds to pay our authorized operational expenses. We will make up a shortfall in maintenance, which I call maintenance fund, from the other revenue sources that we have. Now, I really think that's the issue. The district is fully aware of its obligations under the water code, and I'm here to show you that we meet those obligations. Now, we can get down into the nuances, but this is what I'm saying. This is what I know is true because it's right here. Not only in this budget, but all the budgets throughout the years that we have presented to the court.
I understand.
What I have to say.
NEB District Council is here and signs off on everything the chairman has said. Is that correct, Council? I'm just asking you to confirm everything that we've heard from Chairman Decow is correct as far as you is with from your perspectives as counsel for the NAB district. Okay, that's all I need. You just needed you to confirm.
Let me just put in one little add.
Would you speak to the microphone? The people at home can't hear you.
I would just confirm that the use that they are.
Your name, please, just.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name's Gerald Benedum. I'm a general counsel for Aransas County Navigation District. The use that they're making of the M&O tax that they have made in the past and they're proposing to make in this budget is consistent and in compliance with the water code.
Thank you. We ready to?
So you're saying that only the costs of operations are covered by the M&O tax, right? You're showing personnel cost of $1,215,000. Your contract services.
Oh, it's all listed here for.
I know.
Does everybody have a copy of the budget?
Yes.
Maintenance and operations down here, another $251,000. Maintenance operation, $114,000. You know,
I don't want to disturb Commissioner Smith, but we're not here to get our budget approved. We're here to get our tax approved. And you've heard my counsel and you've heard me say that we're using these funds exactly as the water code prescribed.
You know, with all due respect, Chairman, it says water code, section 62 says this court may levy, may levy a tax, which gives me the idea that we have to look at the budget to make sure that it makes sense, okay? And I would add something else on that. We have a responsibility to make sure that those funds are actually expended in accordance with the budget as well.
So, Mr. Commissioner, are you saying then, either I'm standing up here before the Commissioner's Court, misinforming you? Are you saying that
No,
my
I'm not
counsel
saying
and
that.
myself
I'm
do not have the
all right,
intelligence
all right.
to present?
Order in the court here.
Thank you.
I'm not
Thank
saying that. I'm simply looking at your budget and taking a totally different interpretation of it than you are.
That's your privilege. But I've given our assessment. Our counsel has.
Okay, all right. Ms. Russo, you wanted to say something?
Have you asked for the motion to be first and second?
It's
It's
been
been-
made and seconded for discussion purpose.
All right, great, thank you.
I'm Pat Russo. I am the Commissioner-elect for Precinct 3. And I am concerned about this issue being brought up and being contested. I know that Mr. Smith did this 10 years ago. It's in the minutes of the county clerk from August of 2010. And his objection to it was overruled at the time. Since that, it has been brought up on a regular basis and approved. I have heard from a gentleman who has great expertise in the water code and the application of it. And I am very concerned that at this time, with as much dissent and distrust as we have in this community and in the elected officials, with the question of some of the decisions that this current Commissioner's Court has made relative to the use of taxes or the increase of taxes for our community, that right now there appears to be a great interest in the possibility of denying another entity in this community which provides a valuable service to commercial, small industry, and the tourism communities on which this community is based. And I would just ask for the commissioners to be thoughtful about this and to look at what the Texas Water Code allows and to act accordingly. Thank you.
Judge, after Mr. Chairman Decal was here in July, the question was raised as to how they were how a particular project was going to be funded. And it kind of piqued my interest when Chairman Decal indicated he was going to use maintenance tax reserves that this county had approved. So after that particular meeting, I sat down with our county attorney and I asked our county attorney to review the law, the water code, and I'd like to hear from our county attorney on this at this point in time.
So what do you want to hear, Trevor? What do you want to hear?
Want to hear is the use of maintenance tax reserve, maintenance tax monies proper to build assets of the first instance?
No.
And that's not what I said. you asked a question and
All
I
right.
answered it.
Okay.
First question you asked, and I stated that we would use these funds from our reserve. It becomes obvious that the M&O tax, there is not any M&O tax left over. Our maintenance is paid for by our other revenue sources.
Okay.
I see nothing in the water code that disallows this. I've already explained why raise the tax rate when we have another way of paying it.
All right,
When you
Chairman.
asked that question, I said that we use maintenance funds. Those maintenance funds comes from our other expenses, not the narrow interpretation that somehow it's coming from M&O funds based upon tax that have already been used up by our.
All right, Chairman. Thank you. All right,
Can we have our county attorney also weigh in on the water code as well?
Okay, so going back, 62.160 allows the Commissioners Court, of course, to levy a maintenance tax. And it's as clear as that. It's been that clear since 1971. And that is not to be used for capital or potentially, the issue is potentially a deductible type situation or a matching situation. However, in looking at the budget and talking to you and talking to everybody here, it is apparent that there is other monies that could be used potentially for that matching amount or other things. I've had long discussions with Mr. Barrett and of course Mr. Benedum about how other monies could be used. So,
You know, the water code, correct me if I'm wrong here, that the users of the property, the way the water code phrases it, revenues from the users of the property do not exceed the maintenance cost of the district. Then a maintenance tax is warranted. Every year from the year 2006, since I got involved in this, they have had gaps between the total revenues and from the users of the property and the expenses. As a matter of fact, I think in the mid 2008, 2009, it was approximately $600,000. Now it's $1.2 million. But the interesting thing about what Mrs. Russo is referring to is that in only time I've ever objected is when they're using monies to pay for new assets in the first instance, because the water code says that if you don't have an excess of revenues from the users of the property over the expenses of the district, then the only other way to finance this is to go out for a bond issue. I have no problem with putting this out for a bond issue. But the downside of not putting it out for a bond size and letting these folks continue to use these maintenance tax monies to build new assets is that you're depriving the public a right to vote on this. That's all I'm concerned about at this point in time. The public has a right to vote.
We've heard on the water code, which is a very technical statute, from NAB District's counsel, who was a water code expert, agreed to by our own counsel. I don't think the Commissioners Court is a place for us to have a legal argument over how they should have interpreted the water code. I would really like to just bring this to a vote.
okay. Yeah. Yes,
I
ma'am.
call the question.
I call the question. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Discuss, approve, disapprove, consideration, action on order 017-2020, authorizing the issuance of Aransas County Tax Flood Control Tax Refunding Bonds, Series 2020, and authorizing certain parameters for the bonds, authorizing the redemption of prior to the maturity of certain outstanding obligations, authorizing county judge or the county auditor to approve the amount, the interest rate, price, and terms thereof, and certain other procedures and provisions related thereto. Escrow deposit and agreement, and enacting other provisions relating to the proposed of this order, and so forth. Jackie, this
Yes, sir. This is the refinancing of the 2011 flood control bonds. I believe that our financial advisors as well as the bond counsel are both on if there's any questions.
I think, this is, if I understand correctly, this is the refinancing that we discussed quite a lot when we first brought up the current bond that's going to be on the ballot in November.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't remember if there were actual numbers, and maybe bond counsel or a financial advisor can remind us all, but the idea was we could save a great deal by refinancing these bonds. And if somebody could just quickly summarize how much we're saving, that's all I need to hear.
I have to stand up. I can't see down there.
David,
You want to answer that, Dusty, or you want me to try?
I'm more than happy to answer that, Jackie. Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. My name is Dusty Traylor. Together with my partner, Robert Henderson, we have the honor and privilege of serving Aransas County as financial advisor. Also on the line, I know, as you've already spoken to, is David Mendez, your bond attorney. But you're very well right. There is significant amount of savings to be had by considering refinancing the Series 2011 flood control COs. Under current market conditions, what we are looking at is total savings of approximately $440,000 over the remaining life of those obligations. That works out to about $40,000 per year in savings. The refinancing structure that we're contemplating and moving forward with does not extend the final maturity of the original term of those COs. We keep that final term exactly the same. So what we really and truly are looking at here is an apples and apples comparison that does produce real and significant savings for the county.
That's net of fees, I assume.
Yes, that is net of fees.
Thanks.
So Dusty, you want to lay out the parameters that we have for the project?
I will lay those out. Yes, thanks, David. The crux of the parameters that are laid out that I think are the ones that really matter here are the ones that deal with the savings. In order to move forward with the transaction, we must generate a present value savings of at least 5%. And under our current market conditions right now, it looks like we'd be able to deliver net present value savings, I believe, in the neighborhood of about 11 to 12%. So we're significantly over that. Again, like I said earlier, the parameter also mandates that we not extend the final maturity of the obligations. It also mandates that we do not issue more in refunding bonds or more in stated value of refunding bonds than there are bonds that we're refunding. So no additional stated amount of debt there as well.
And I just wanted to add for the court that the order is good for 6 months from today if the commissioners approve it. And the idea is that the government code gives the county 6 months, the auditor and the county judge 6 months to work with Dusty and Bob to find the best price and then cinch that price, and then we'll close them through the AG to achieve the parameters that he just described.
And this is a reasonable thing that prudent financial administration does, is look at their bonds from time to time to see if there's better rates out there that we can attach to, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. This is very much aligned to you or I seeking to refinance a home loan. For instance, we had a home loan that was older, that was at a slightly higher interest rate. Interest rates have come down since we took out that loan, and we just have the opportunity to refinance to a lower interest rate.
Thank you. I would move to. I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Discuss, approve, disapprove, approve, disapprove, adopting 2021 budget.
Yes, Judge and Commissioners, you do have a copy of the budget. I do ask that you return them at the end so I can finish putting them all together for you. It's based on the no new revenue as well as the 2.5% COLA for all employees except elected officials. We've worked really hard on this for the last few months and recommend approval.
I make a motion to approve adopting the 2021 budget.
Motion made,
Second.
second. Ms. Russo?
Thank you, Judge. Jackie, I didn't receive a copy of the new budget, but would you say it is what we looked at
Yes,
most
ma'am.
recently, I think about 2 weeks ago?
Yes, ma'am. It was in with the packet electronically. I have not done the hard copies for everyone because of some signature pages that need to
Thank
go
you.
with it. Mhm.
That's all.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Approve, disapprove. Adopting the 2020 tax roll and levy.
Move to approve.
Oh, let's skip one. Wait a minute, let's go. Discuss approve, disapprove, adopting proposed tax rate of 0.433543 per $100 value as a 2020 tax rate.
So
Do we need to read in the itemization of it?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Do we have that?
Yeah.
Here you go.
Here it is.
Motion.
Okay, 0.314028 ad valorem M&O. 0.046757 ad valorem debt and interest and sinking fund. 0.61938 road and bridge flood control on M&O. And 0.01082 flood control debt service. For a total of 0.433543.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove, adopting the 2020 tax roll levy.
Make a motion to approve that.
Motion made,
Second.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove resolution R 36 2020 for the 2020 tax roll levy and rate.
Move to approve.
Motion made,
Second.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove ratifying the tax rate increase reflected in the 2021 budget.
Move to approve.
Motion made,
I'll second.
second. All
I
those in
think
favor?
do we need to read into the record?
Please, sir.
All right.
All right. do that.
Budget cover page. This budget will raise more revenue from property taxes than last year's budget by an amount $589,475, which is a 4.77% increase from last year's budget. The property tax revenue to be raised from new property added to the tax rolls this year is $634,290. Now we can vote.
Now you can vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you, Commissioner. Discuss, approve, disapprove budget line item transfers and amendments.
We have none at this time.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Discuss, approve, disapprove accounts payable, payroll, and payroll liabilities.
It's all normal. This does also include that $162,000 for tech stock.
Move to approve.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Now's the time for any elected official or department head, and you're not either one of them anymore, but go ahead.
I am until Friday.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to introduce Kevin Stroud to everyone here in the courtroom. He is your interim elections administrator. For any questions or concerns you might have with anything in the office or with the elections, you can talk to
All
them.
right. Thank you. Welcome, Kevin. Sheriff?
Welcome to the Commissioners Court this morning as your representative of the local LMHA at Coastal Plains in Portland. I want to inform you that Mark Duran, the Executive Director, has submitted a resignation effective January 1st, 2021.
What is LMHI?
Local mental health organization, serves 10 counties, of which we're a partner in. Serve the needs of 3,500 people annually. Mark made a commitment, he said to the board and to the counties 10 years ago, that he would work with it and within the organization elevate the experience of people working for him with a younger set of employees, to where that when he stepped aside, there would be somebody that would be able to fill his shoes for years to come and not become a cycle of replacing the CEO every 2 or 3 years if somebody sought to retire. So they have posted the job. Applications will be submitted And by the end of the year, a decision will be made, but I wanted to let y'all know that Mark Green, he will stay on in a capacity as an assistant, even after the first, for a transition of stuff that he had overseen specifically until he could hand it off at some time in the future to a new CEO.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes. I've had additional problems with, additional complaints from citizens and in the Murphy and that area over there. I had one as early or as late as yesterday on it where they have people walking up and down and doing drugs evidently in the sight of other people. And this is really getting to be an issue out there. And I'd like for the court to consider sometime in the very near future to look to see if there's anything else that we can do to assist the sheriff and the other law enforcement folks in handling that situation. And it's really getting to be a real problem. And I would like for the court to keep that in mind so that if someone's got some ideas or how we could do it, I'd really appreciate knowing about them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, we need to go into closed session.
Oh, right.
Okay, we went into closed session at 10:15, we're coming out at 10:32. 33. Item number, what was it? 6. Do we have a motion?
I would move that we authorize David to enter into negotiations with the property owner.
But turn on your mic.
I would move that we authorize David to enter into negotiations with the property owner to acquire a property for drainage, whether it be easement or us owning the property, and come back to us with anything further he needs.
Motion made.
I'll second.
And I just want to add the fact that the money is available in the budget already.
Yes.
Right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.